It's a big subject and one that can be pretty intimidating simply because it's used in so many spheres, whether it be computing or mathematics or physics or even ecology. And guys, it scared me too, but basically it's simply connecting your e-bike to the internet via your smartphone, or simply connecting two devices together to make your e-mountain bike a better bike. So we have partnered with one of the biggest electronics brands in eMTB, Bosch, who are very much at the forefront of connectivity to explain and explore this brave new world. Now the question is, do we actually need to be connected? Well, I once remember having a hefty chat with a software engineer up in the mountains who was trying to tell me that I simply wasn't using enough of the features that he'd painstakingly designed. And my reply to him was simply that trying to hold the bars through a technical, off-camber, rocky section on the edge of a cliff required enough of my attention. In reply, he said that, well, if I'd been using the on-screen navigation in the first place, I wouldn't be on a cliff, but rather on a path, which I should have been on. But back to connectivity. Now today, we're going to be following a route on a Bosch Kiox equipped bike. So no paper maps, which, believe it or not, is a first for me. But navigation, nevertheless, is a fundamental part of what connectivity is all about. But what does connectivity mean for eMTB? More data, information and knowledge. Connectivity allows you to get so much more from your bike. We can now customize our eMTBs to give us any amount of information we need. In many ways, this is the same as how your car will tell you the simple things, such as when there is not enough petrol in the tank, to more complex servicing related features. Connectivity also lets us see the simple things such as the health of our motors and servicing, to the more complex human elements such as heart rate, motor support, terrain navigation, and also the individualization of our e-mountain bikes. So in simple terms then, it's connecting one thing to another, your phone to your drill, your phone to your fridge, or in this instance to your bike to carry out functions, to fine-tune and to diagnose, or simply to configure your e-bike to your individual needs. Getting connected and tuning into your e-bike's features really will enable you to get so much more out of your bike and also yourself. That brave new world that I mentioned could be just that. You'll find yourself doing things you might not have thought about and go places with a different mindset. Very simply then, we have a display which is connected to a phone, a smartphone, via the app, then connected to your laptop back at home, and I can see all the data because it's constantly recording what I do. But how can we bring all this to life? What's involved? What's included? Well, as I mentioned, today we're using the Bosch Kiox display, but how can one of these little things help us navigate ourselves and our bikes in the great outdoors? Bosch have a huge range of displays. We could use the Nion, but bear in mind some displays such as the Purion don't actually allow you to get connected to some really cool features. Having said that, very often the type of display you choose reflects the type of riding you do as well. On big mountain adventures, very often you need to go low key. Now, the Kiox is actually the stealth approach to displays in the Bosch range. Now, you also got the Nion, as I mentioned, which is a much larger display and does give you more, but nevertheless, you can get some really cool detail and data off this little unit. Now, for those of you who are new to e-mountain biking, remember that the display is a way of controlling the power output of your e-mountain bike. So on this little unit, you've got Eco, Tour, eMTB and Turbo. But remember, there's all those other really important metrics which are displayed on your Kiox as well, such as your speed, your range, your cadence, your heart rate, and also your altitude. So a very, very important piece of kit. But more than this, and what connectivity allows you to do is use Kiox via your phone to take things one step further, to really make your eMTB work for you, to guide you, to monitor you and your physical state, and the motor and the mechanical well-being too. To do this, you will need to connect to the Bosch eBike Connect app, and I'll go into detail on that a little bit later on. And there's two aspects that I'd like to share with you, and those are navigation and fitness, which we'll look at now. You can break this down into pre and post ride. Now on the pre-ride, you can plan your routes. You can use such things as the eBike Connect app or third-party options such as Komoot. Down in there somewhere is a coffee shop, so I'm simply typing coffee, boom, boom. There you go, there's a place called Coffee One. And it's come up with 3 different routes. You've got fast route, scenic route, or mountain bike route. Fast route, 3.77 kilometers, 11 minutes. So all I do, start the route on Kiox, hit OK, and then it simply comes up on the display there. It really is as simple as that. Now I'm on track, haven't got to worry about charging because I've got my battery. You've got offline maps, so you've got no worry about internet. So I haven't got to get off my bike, take a map out and find the route, because you've always got the orientation and the direction of movement. So that means you always get to go where you want to. And then when you get back, simply use the data to share or to plan for your next trip. An alternative and very cool way of using Kiox is as a fitness tool. So by connecting to a heart rate monitor, you can track your efforts. Now the whole idea is changing about e-bikes, because it is now seen as a genuine workout tool. So it's not just leisure use, it's athletes as well that are using e-bikes for training. Now one feature I really like, and Bosch are one of the few brands that do this, is to feature the rider power. As you can see, now pumping out about 140 watts, but you watch how that number changes as they start climbing up to 400 watts, 517, up to 500 watts there, 600 watts. So you can see it really is quite a workout. And remember too that with the Kiox display, unlike some displays which you've got really tiny numbers, really bold numbers on there, so you can see them even when you're going down a rough track. Now, another cool feature on the Kiox display is you've got your cadence, and cadence is critical to get the most out of your e-bike motor, to hit the sweet spot. As you can see, I'm now at 104, 106, so a little bit high, so I'm going to change gear to have, I'm going down to about 90 RPM now, which is a good speed to spin your pedals at. There's simply so many ways to use an e-bike for fitness. The connection to a fitness tracker is just the start. Use it as motivation, your display if you're going above or below average speed on a particular route. There's direct connection to Strava for banter and comparisons. And you can also plan a Strava route by getting it with a GPX file. Connectivity, eh? You can't count for much if you can't get up anywhere. And of course, once you get home, you can sit down and relax, just like these guys here, and you can look at all your data. All right, guys, take it easy. Take it easy. Probably one of the best ways to use connectivity is to get on your dashboard when you get back home. And I really do use this as motivation for my next rides. So as you can see, I'm looking at my dashboard now. I'm looking at the distance, the average speed, calories burned, obviously, the cadence, which, as I mentioned earlier, is super important to get the most out of your e-mountain bike, get the power right, to get the sweet spot going. Duration of ride, maximum speed, and one bit which I really like is the average user power. That tells you how many watts that you've used on your ride, and I really genuinely use this as a motivational tool to try to do the next ride either with more power or less power from me by using a motor. So it genuinely is a great fitness tool, having the Kiox linked with your phone, linked with your dashboard back at home to really get you going on all your e-mountain bike rides. Fitness and navigation are but two simple examples, but depending on your location in the world, Bosch offer an abundance of other features. For example, software updates that don't need a cable, just Bluetooth. Kiox and electronic shifting connection. Now Bosch say that with some hub designs, brief throttling of the motor during the gear shifting allows smooth synchronized gear changes. The selected cadence or current gear setting are shown on the Bosch display. The lock feature means you can lock your bike without needing a key. Lock enables motor support to be deactivated by removing the onboard computer. Only by attaching the same onboard computer does the lock automatically unlock again. Kiox and suspension. We have previously seen that when Kiox is paired with Fox Live Valve, giving you an unprecedented level of control of your suspension, even whilst riding. The Fox E-Live valve system determines the conditions of the terrain 1,000 times per second and adjusts the suspension, fork and rear shock accordingly within fractions of a second. This can all be synced and controlled to your display. So as you can see then, we are looking at bikes which are smarter, more efficient and arguably more versatile than non-eMTBs. But with technology far advanced of MTBs, how do you actually get the most out of it? I guess you can look at it a few ways. There's all the data, which some people might choose to use or not, but also you have the option of individualization. A pro racer might want to custom set the display to show max heart rate in bold during a race, whilst an older person might simply want different metrics to be bolder on screen too. To get access to this whole new world of information, as mentioned, you have to get this, the Bosch eBike Connect app. My Kiox will connect to the app and will record all the data and send it via the smartphone Bluetooth connection to the online portal. On the eBike Connect, you have information on battery health, updates to your motor and displays, and troubleshooting. But what I really love is analysing the route that you've just ridden, the post-ride data. It gives me inspiration for new trips on what you can do and how far you can go on one charge. That intimate knowledge of what you and your bike can do is simply invaluable. Being connected motivates me to do the same route again with less motorsport, or maybe to tackle something even steeper with more motorsport but potentially a higher heart rate zone. You can choose to use any or all of those, obviously not at all the same time, but ultimately it's up to you what you want. But the bottom line is that if you really want to advance your riding and at the same time get the most out of your bike, then connectivity is definitely an underused resource. And I'd certainly put myself on that list up until today.